XDefiant has had a wild 24 hours or so that we needed to discuss. Admittedly, I'm a bit late to the party. I decided for the first time in a long time that I was gonna be normal and take a weekend off, and sure enough, as soon as I got in my car to leave with alternate content ready to go, the new report dropped for XDefiant. So today we're breaking down this whole whirlwind of the report, the reaction, and everything that came along the last 24-hour span, and the sheer amount of confusion with the project of XDefiant as a whole. As we go along, drop your thoughts below, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more XDefiant coverage along with other FPS content. And finally, today's video is brought to you in part by OperaGX, helping you break up with your boring browser. With things like CPU and RAM limiters so you're not eating up your system like other browsers. Chrome, check. Built-in VPN for browsing protection, check. GX mods like background music, keyboard sounds, opening and closing notifiers, themes and browser wallpapers, custom themes and mods around your favorite games, check, 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 and check. Force dark pages for those of us who hate light mode or being flashbanged because it seems like every page is trying to burn out your retinas, check. OperaGX offers a ton in the way of user-friendly tools to maximize performance and increase as much as possible that ease of use. Genuinely, I love the GX control feature where you can reduce memory usage while browsing the same amount of, if not even more tabs than what you'd say if you have a browser like Chrome open. With Discord and Twitch integrations as well, it's great for anyone looking to browse and exceptionally great for gamers. So check out and download OperaGX today using my link below and break up with that boring browser you've been using and get a huge upgrade. So thanks to OperaGX for sponsoring this video. Now back to it, we had that mention that insider Tom Henderson would be reporting on the game later in the month, and well, that update came last night. In a report, it was said that Insider Gaming understands that XDefiant has missed dozens of internal targets in the past couple of years, including release dates, putting the game firmly in the realm of other Ubisoft titles, that it's constantly in limbo. Developers working on the project are becoming increasingly frustrated with a lack of progress, and in short, the game's shortcomings stem from the executives' pursuit of trying to copy Call of Duty rather than building their own game. Creatively, it's frustrating for the team, but from a technical perspective, it also presents new challenges and has become the main reason for delays. The never-ending hunt to chase COD and add pointless stuff always breaks the current build, said one source, which often then requires days of fixing. So the big question, when will XDefiant release? It's a great question and likely why Ubisoft has been silent on the matter for months, because in short, I don't even think they know. The good news is the game isn't in danger of being canceled and development is still ongoing at its usual rate. In fact, just today, XDefiant had a substantial playtest to test the netcode, online store, social media tabs, and so on. And the current plan is to have another large open public test session as soon as possible. So while I don't have any internal release dates right now, and to be honest, it'd be pointless in saying anyway, we're probably still a good few months from the release as feedback from the next public session is taken on board. So on one hand, that's an update, but not as big an update as I kind of thought it would be. When I heard that Tom had an exclusive coming, I kind of thought that we'd have a bombshell of either like the release date, a mention of a full delay entirely, or something of that nature. What we saw in this report is a lot of what was almost expected, but just not ever written out or confirmed. So it confirmed a lot of suspicions, but that's about it, really. The one thing that I do like and I'm hopeful for out of this report is the mention of another potential playtest, something coming at large and at scale, where it's not just like a invite-only creator session or something like that, but instead, everyone would be able to take part in it. To me, that makes the most sense. As we'll touch on in a second with Mark Rubin's reply to the whole thing, the game's delay is basically built out because of the necessity to handle the game's player capacity at scale and their inability to do that previously. And how else do you test that other than, well, testing it at scale and at a large player base for an open session like that? Like, it's possible that they don't do that, but after 6+ months of waiting and working on a new system in place, that wouldn't really make too much sense to do 0 tests and launch it on this new system, right? Especially if it's something that could cripple the game. But anyways, yeah, Mark Rubin finally broke his silence as well, almost immediately, so I kind of think that there was a heads up of the report because we hadn't heard much from Mark or the rest of the team here, but it was an immediate flood of replies and clarification from a developer perspective on everything. The basics of it, though, can be kind of described in the actual thread provided by Mark on the situation that started it all, in which he stated, "We have an update coming soon, probably this week. I know that we've been silent because, to be honest, there isn't much to talk about. I know people just want to see the game ship, and so do we. I can't wait to ship just so we don't have to talk about ship dates anymore and we can talk more about important stuff like gameplay balancing or new content, modes, maps, etc. Just to be clear, we are not just sitting around with the game fixing every last bug. Nobody launches a perfect bug-free games. We do our best, but it's just not realistic to think that. We had major technical issues that we found right before we launched that had to be fixed, and that's what the team has been working on. And they are not just minor fixes, but major infrastructure and full system overhauls. The game remains the same that you played already, which we have strived to make as fun as possible, which we feel confident about. So aside from questions about the launch, which I can't talk about, I'm happy to chat about most anything else related to the game. For instance, I can confirm that no push has been made to put SBMM into our game. Our unranked playlist will still have no skill-based matchmaking, and you'll get the variety of gameplay that you see where there isn't skill-based matchmaking. Anyway, I hope everyone is having a great weekend, and thank you for following XDefiant with so much passion. We love you all. So the basic gist of why the game was seemingly delayed came down to the same netcode and networking issues that had plagued the betas at scale, and I remember very early on, that was something that developers that I had talked to had mentioned and echoed that as much. Mark Rubin then said this in the context of, well, you could have launched and then fixed it, to which the volleyed reply was, even if you couldn't party up with friends, even if the netcode crumbled under scaling from the number of players, even if you were running around with a bunch of invisible people shooting you, even if you felt like you were constantly hitching, I don't think so. Going on to further explain, part of it was at scale as to why this was happening. Under small tests, some stuff worked fine, but also when you scale up, there were compounding issues causing major issues in those systems. Also, some of the netcode issues were due to increased anti-cheat, which sadly is always something that hurts performance. So Mark Rubin himself mentioned that the team at XDefiant genuinely had no idea the scale of which that they'd be entering. They initially thought XDefiant would be this small niche product, but with a sheer amount of enthusiasm all over 2023, it was pretty clear that the scale of demand was much higher than they anticipated, which led to these setbacks then. But anyways, beyond that, Mark kind of mentioned additional details that gave some context for the future, but again, it's still all kind of surface level stuff. The one thing that Mark mentioned about chasing COD though, from the report, he stated, I think it's great people are excited for leaks of any kind. The eye roll that he had mentioned earlier wasn't about Tom's reporting or anything, but those who said the delays were due to trying to be more like COD. He's then followed up by saying, we've always said in the past that we were aiming at a different time in FPS history, i.e. older CODs. So are we chasing older CODs? To some degree, but we don't want to be like what the newer CODs are like, which that last sentence is probably something that a lot of people can get behind. A lot of people probably enjoy hearing that in particular. But anyways, beyond that, it was also clarified in some replies, again, out of this whole, I don't want to say tweet storm, that almost has a negative connotation, but this long discussion that Mark ended up having with the community over on Twitter, where he said then all content is going to be coming at launch, the same amount before. The delays aren't increasing or decreasing the content count coming at launch. Mark also, though, hinted that another small map like Arena would be coming shortly after launch, probably around that Season 1 point. So another small chaotic map, which will be fun for sure. He also mentioned that that Season 1 point is still looking to be about 6 weeks from the launch of XDefiant. It was previously mentioned that 6 weeks would be that preseason or Season 0 intended time frame, and it seems like that is still going to be the case, though it was not confirmed to be explicitly and solid 6 weeks. So use that as like a sort of reference point more than anything else. And then a bunch of other smaller stuff that again is cool if you want to read all the replies, but really it's again not a whole ton that's like groundbreaking or anything like that. But honestly, what I'm confused about out of this and then the last 24 to 36 hours is that up until when this report happened, it seemed like we'd be getting closer and closer. Like hilariously, we had another XDefiant video covering new rumors and hints that was actually meant to go out as of yesterday's normal upload time video. I had to shift around what was initially planned as today's video, that Delta Force video, and actually cover then because I had to pull what was initially going to be yesterday's XDefiant video. And funnily enough, like that tentative title that I had for that video was that XDefiant's release might actually be on the way after this. And it was a mention of some new sort of teasers from stuff that was pulled from, I want to say it was like some Ubisoft official sites where it was field elements in the web page, like HTML text code or something like that, where we ended up getting information about the end of Season 0 was supposedly going to be June 19th here, and a Season 1 start time of June 19th, which again, if you take that 6-week time frame, you'd end up seeing the game launch at the end of April or early May, depending on, again, when exactly we'd see that happen. If it was a solid 6 weeks or if it was a reference point of 6 weeks for a preseason. So it was interesting to see that context, but the thing that really was like really surprising to me is that other additional media like images and such that was posted by this leaker for various Ubisoft games that had a track record that was solid was that the images that he had posted got issued a DMCA takedown. So a copyright strike and a copyright hit on those images, meaning that they were legit. And again, in the context of those timeframes that were provided, it seemed like we were actually making some progress and that we actually might be just a couple of weeks away from the launch of XDefiant, with details about a Founders Edition actually being something that would be preloadable, redeemable, something like that, starting on the 15th of next month. So it's just this weird like whirlwind of how everything has shaped up in the last 24 to 36 hours. So of course, we do know that XDefiant isn't coming here in Q4 or that fiscal year ending March 31st now for Ubisoft just yet. So that's something that target has clearly been missed, but it seems like we might get an update later this week officially, in which case we'll keep you covered on everything you need to know. But that is where we're at here at this. It's a very strange situation to follow, but I mean, I guess like that could sum up the entire last year of XDefiant, so that's what we're gonna call it. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think here of this? Do you think that we'll be seeing XDefiant sooner rather than later? Do you think we'll have another public playtest here on the horizon? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things XDefiant and all things FPS coverage here. We got you covered. I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.